presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are so.
It's time for Braves baseball. A beautiful day in Atlanta, Georgia, as we continue our April in the ATL celebration, 30 games in 30 days. Tonight, a rare treat. We begin interleague play here at home. Jeff Francoeur and the Braves play host Dustin Pedroia and the Boston Red Sox. Game one of a home-and-home series here in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi again, friends, with Tom Glavine and Joe Simpson. Welcome back to the ballpark. Maybe today's the day for Atlanta. Maybe today's the day the offense kicks into high gear, and it better, because the Boston Red Sox are coming to town, Joe, and they are a fearsome offensive club.
Yeah, if you thought the New York Mets were swinging the bats pretty well, wait till you get a load of these guys. For the road, they have the best batting average in baseball at .298. They're tied for the Major League lead in doubles with 47. They have some new people, most notably Dave Dombrowski, a new president running the baseball operation. David Price and Craig Kimbrell have been added to their pitching staff. You see that their American League batting average also the best, on base, right on down the list. And of course, somewhere down the road on this series against the Boston Red Sox, we're going to see David Ortiz too.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, he's not in the lineup tonight, but certainly has been the mainstay in the middle of the Red Sox lineup for a number of years now. Really has endeared himself to the Boston fans and really grown into legend status in his time there in Boston. You see where he ranks all-time: home runs, RBI, slugging percentage. Pretty good. 3-time World Series champion, 9-time All-Star. So been a pretty important piece in the middle of that lineup, and really has anchored this offense for a long, long time. And like I say, fortunately or unfortunately for the Braves fans, we don't get to see the Red Sox much. You won't see him tonight. And Hanley Ramirez out of the lineup for the Red Sox too. Boston got to town about 5:30 this morning. Hopefully they'll be a little road weary before game one. Julio Teheran gets the ball for the Braves. Rick Porcello for the Red Sox. Starting lineups. First pitch from Atlanta coming right up.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Welcome back, guys. Game 1 versus the Red Sox coming up here shortly. And last night, Game 3 to the Mets was another one of those heartbreakers. The guys just can't seem to get that big hit that really puts them over the top. And a lot of that has to do with how they're hitting. You know, they had 12 hits yesterday. All 12 of those were singles. But they are hitting up on some great pitchers at that. They just can't get that power or that extra base hit. And I talked to Frenchie earlier about exactly what they need to do to fix that.
Get 10 hits off Kershaw, you get 9, whatever it is, off Harvey and DeGrom and Matz. We just haven't, we're not getting the extra base hit right now. And honestly, a lot of times that's contagious. And, you know, it's tough to tell someone to go up there and try to hit a double, try to hit a home run, change your approach when you're doing it. Hopefully, you know, as we get going, balls will start carrying a little more for us and we can find some gaps.
So Francour's been looking good. Maybe he could be that spark that they need today to take Game 1 versus the Red Sox. We have Game 1 versus Boston coming up your way. First pitch and starting lineup is next.
The Braves and the Red Sox meet in Game 1 of our 2-game series here in Atlanta. The series will shift up to Boston beginning Wednesday night. And Julio Teheran is on the mound for the Braves, hoping to snap a 5-game Atlanta losing streak tonight.
0-2 to start the year, but he's looking to capture some of that magic he's had here at home. Since the start of 2015, you see his home road splits, 20 home starts, 8-3 with a 3.11. So let's see if he can take advantage of that and capture some of that tonight against a hot Boston Red Sox lineup.
And for Julio, his 4 keys to pitching success tonight. Number 1, 45 plus. Pitches 1 through 45. Julio has a batting average against him of 184. He's dealing. But after that, from 45 plus, it jumps up to around 320. The trouble is that 45 pitch mark is coming around the 2nd or 3rd inning, so he's in the soup by the 4th or 5th inning. Also, WHIP, that stands for walks and hits per innings pitched. His number, 1.39 walks or hits per inning. That's 83rd among starters in Major League Baseball right now. That's got to improve. He's got to quit having to work out of the stretch constantly.
Atlanta's defense, 16 errors so far this year. Jeff Francoeur gets the start in left. Malik Smith and Nick Markakis join him in the outfield. Freeman, Peterson, Castro, and Garcia around the horn. And A.J. Przinsky is behind the plate. This is Mookie Betts, the Red Sox right fielder. And out of Nashville, Tennessee, hitting .274 for the year. We are underway. 1 ball, no strikes. Perfect weather, 75 degrees at first pitch. In the hole, it's short. Long throw, Castro, and he got his man. Good start for the Atlanta defense. Daniel Castro takes care of Betts. 1 down.
Boy, is that a good start for Julio to get a playmate behind him like Castro just made. Long throw and got a fast runner.
Yeah, that was a great play. That'll pick you up.
Here's Dustin Pedroia, the Boston second baseman, hitting second on their lineup card. Red Sox hitting .277 as a team. Pedroia at .321. And as you'd expect, Pedroia, the instigator for this Red Sox offense, has been on base in 16 of their first 17 games. If dynamite comes in small packages, well, this guy's dynamite. Dustin Pedroia.
And he's been so consistent, so good for this ball club for many years. You want him on your team.
Pedroia was the Rookie of the Year in 2007 when the Red Sox won the World Series. Another championship in 2013. And really, therein lies the rub with this Red Sox ball club. What are they? First, the 2-1 pitch. They have a World Series championship just 3 years ago, but they finished in last place 3 of the last 4 years. So what gives with Boston?
I think that's why they made a change in the front office, is to try to get things on a more consistent basis. John Farrell missed a lot of last year. He was battling illness, but back in the dugout. Happy to have him back.
2 balls, 2 strikes for Pedroia. 4-time All-Star. And the pitch is cut on and missed. Teheran got him with a high fastball. 2 up, 2 down in the opening inning.
And I can promise you, the team that finished last year didn't have David Price in the rotation, didn't have Craig Kimbrell closing games. Quite an improvement in those 2 guys alone.
Well, they did have this guy, Xander Bogaerts, who hit .320 last year in his second full major league season for the Red Sox at shortstop. He's out of Oranjestad, Aruba. The Red Sox signed him as an international free agent in 2009. He's hit a homer. He's knocked in 9 runs this year. And Boston got a scare the other day down in Houston. He was hit on the wrist with a pitch. Didn't play Saturday. But good to go tonight.
Yeah, good to see him in the lineup after that. That was scary.
Popped up. A.J. Przinsky by the Braves on deck. Circle is going to have room. And how about that? Popped out A.J.'s glove.
Got rid of the mask, had room.
Just caught it on the heel a little bit, looked like.
And off to the side. It's almost like the ball moved on him a little bit.
Well, make a pitch, pick him up.
Fly ball, well hit center. Malik Smith on the run, still going. He got there. Oh, baby. Bogaerts hit the daylights out of that ball, and Smith tracked it down.
Alex picked up 2 guys there. Whew. He picked up A.J. and he picked up Julio.
From pillar to post goes Malik Smith. Great catch, great start for Teheran. No score after half inning. At the top of the first, here comes Nick Markakis and the rest of the Braves offense. Nick Markakis loves hitting against the American League, a lifetime .336 average in interleague play. Big story for Atlanta today. Freddie Freeman dropped to 6th on the lineup card as the Braves face Rick Porcello.
3-0 on the year, and since coming off the DL in August of last year, he started to figure some things out. Last 5 starts, 4-1 with a 4.1 ERA and pretty low opponent's batting average again, so he's been pitching well.
And he delivers a strike to the Braves right fielder Nick Markakis. Nick has been a model of consistency for the Braves. He's been on base in 12 of 17 games. And the count even now, 1 ball, 1 strike. Lifted toward left. Brock Holt is there, and he makes the catch. 1 out.
Porcello is 27 years old, 6'5", 205, out of New Jersey. Was a first-round pick by the Detroit Tigers back in '08. He was the USA Today High School Player of the Year in 2007 in New Jersey, out of New Jersey. So pretty good credentials when Detroit tabbed him first.
Daniel Castro with a .343 average has already had a good start tonight. Fine defensive play to begin the game. And he's riding a 7-game hit streak. As far as his starting assignments are concerned, just underway in Atlanta. Nice crowd at Turner Field. Swing and miss. 0-2.
Porcello's got an outstanding sinker. Throws 88 to 93. A lot of times he's just sinker changeup guy with an occasional breaking ball, which is what he got Markakis on.
Hasn't been walking many guys and has really found the strikeout. 7+ strikeouts in each of his last 6 starts, so that's a career-long streak for him.
It's funny when you read the newspaper clippings about the Red Sox. Let's just say that we all know that the press corps in Boston can be somewhat acerbic. But it's interesting how they look at Rick Porcello and almost as if they're saying, well, he's not really as lousy as we've been writing about in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, that was the gist of a couple articles that we saw today.
Diving stop at third by Rutledge. Pretty play. And there's out number 2.
Couple defensive gems already to start the game.
I thought that ball was already by him. He just got called up about a week ago. Off to a good start with the Red Sox.
So here's Adonis Garcia batting third. And to echo what we talked about in our pregame report, the big story tonight is Freddie Gonzalez has shuffled his lineup card. Garcia hitting third, Freddie Freeman batting sixth.
Which I thought was great. I love the fact that Frank Coors in the lineup tonight against a right-handed pitcher. His numbers against Porcello for Jeff are real good too. Freddie just trying to find the right combination and some hot hands at the moment.
And Garcia continues to hit. Two-out single, and now this sets up a fun confrontation. A.J. Przinsky's batting fourth tonight, one hit away from 2,000 in his career. And how has Porcello fared against opposing cleanup men?
Pretty well against everybody except the cleanup guys, and they have picked on him.
Strike one for A.J.
But you know, back to your point about shuffling the lineup and whatever, I believe if the Braves were off to a better start than they were, and Freddie was swinging the bat the way that he was and was dropped in the lineup, it really wouldn't be a big deal. But it's certainly not like you mentioned that that's the reason why the offense has been struggling. It's shared across the board.
Yes, it is. But you look at the homestand numbers, Tommy. Castro 10 for 28. Garcia 8 for 21. AJ's 5 for 11. Frank Coors 7 for 14. They've been getting guys on base left and right. We showed that graphic with all the men left on base. It's just a matter of piecing those hits together and maybe finding a gap somewhere, because the Braves during this homestand especially, they've got like 3 extra base hits amongst all these hits they've been getting.
Yeah, I think if you're a casual fan, didn't know the outcome of those games, and you put those graphics up there against those pitchers, you'd think the Braves had won a handful of those games.
Yeah.
You know, but just like we've talked about, the number of hits and the hits with runners in scoring position and all that, it just hasn't led to runs.
Good battle with Porcello and Przinsky here. No balls, 2 strikes. No homers in 474 at bats now for the Braves. 13 straight games without a homer. Longest since the Angels had a 14-game drought in 2007.
You got to figure if they keep getting hits the way they have been, the extra base hits, the home runs are going to start to come. But you know, like Frenchie said, I agree. There's so much in this game that's contagious. Guys, they know that they're struggling to hit home runs. They know they're struggling to get extra base hits. They know they're struggling to get runs, and all that adds up. You start trying to do more than you should be trying to do, and you relax less and less.
Vasquez with a stop. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's weird too how a change in the batting order, when you move to a different spot in the batting order, how different the situations are that come up from that spot in the order. That also helps sometimes help you relax. I mentioned Julio's whip at 1.39. Porcello's is 6th best in the American League, below 1, 0.93.
Fly ball toward right. Betts, though, got there and makes a fine running catch. That one almost split a gap. But A.J. Przinsky robbed by Mookie Betts, and the Braves are out of luck in a scoreless first.
John Schuerholz and Andrew Jones into the Braves Hall of Fame at a luncheon on Friday, August the 19th. Be sure to get your tickets before they're all gone. All guests are guaranteed to sit with a current or former Braves player, coach, alumni, or Hall of Fame member. Call 404-614-2310 for more information to order your tickets today.
That's always one of the highlights of the Major League Baseball season in Atlanta, the Braves Hall of Fame induction. Can't wait for that. And two very worthy honorees this year. Here's Travis Shaw playing first base for the Red Sox tonight. Out of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, is Travis Shaw. And Julio gets ahead of him with a called strike.
Nice little slow floating breaking ball to start him.
I like that pitch.
Me too.
Shaw tried to bunt, popped it out of play. Another big story for the Red Sox this year, if you'll pardon the pun, was Travis Shaw beat out Pablo Sandoval for the third base job with Boston. Sandoval has a shoulder problem that has him sidelined. Shaw moves across the diamond today and is in the lineup at first base. Swing and a miss. Julio has good stuff to start. That's his second strikeout.
Good off-speed pitch.
There's that harder breaking ball, more of the slider. 2 strikes, back foot, great location, well executed.
That'll bring up the pride of Coleman, Alabama, Josh Rutledge, who was acquired from the Angels for Shane Victorino before the trading deadline last year. His first career opening day roster spot was with the Rockies in 2013. No DH, so no David Ortiz in the lineup tonight. That'll change when we head to Boston for the final 2 games of the series.
Yeah, it's not unusual for him to watch a game from the bench and then be summoned for his spot in the order. Let's see if he's in there tomorrow. The DHs, including David Ortiz for Boston, it's pretty formidable. They're hitting .304 as a group, 3 homers, 17 RBIs with a .407 on base percentage. So that's a big hole.
Swing and a miss by Rutledge. 3 strikeouts for Julio. 2 up, 2 down.
Another well-located slider.
Another good pitch.
Well, it's time for Julio to get in the win column. First time in his career he's gone winless in the first 4 starts of a season. And dating back to his last outing against the Dodgers, he left with a lead. But the Braves couldn't hang on to that lead. 8 times since the start of last year that the bullpen has blown a chance for victory for Julio Teheran. That's more than any other pitcher in the big leagues. Tampa to Gio Gonzalez of Washington, also 8 times. But he looks good tonight for Brock Holt. 2 balls, no strikes. This guy has given the Braves trouble.
I thought he was the MVP of the American League last year, what we saw. 9 for 16 and a homer against the Braves last season. I mean, they've got some really good young players. Mookie Betts is an impressive player. Just made a great play to rob AJ of a hit. Great offensive numbers. Bogarts, Bradley, this guy.
That's the first base runner for Boston. Brock Holt takes a walk. And Jackie Bradley Jr. stands in. There's another one of those young players Joe was talking about. Bradley, a supplemental first-round pick, 40th overall for the Red Sox.
Yeah, it seems as though with their roller coaster, like we were talking about over the last few years, a lot of that has centered around some bad free agent signings and things of that nature. And you wonder, with all these young kids they have in their lineup, that it form a pretty good foundation if they won't have to jump into that free agent market as much anymore to try and make quick fixes.
Bradley didn't mean to swing. Adonis at third with a backhand stab, and a strike to first retires the side. Thank you very much. Holt left stranded. Braves are up in the second. No score. Here in the Braves' second inning, he'll be following Jeff Francoeur, who leads things off against Porcello. Jeff has had an outstanding homestand. 2 hits in each of his last 3 starts, and in the lineup, Joe, against a right-hander, and there's a good reason for that.
Yeah, he has really had a lot of luck against Porcello. 9 for 23, 2 homers.
Jeff didn't get the breaking ball, and he's retired. First strikeout for Porcello. 1 man down.
One of those occasional sliders, but in a great spot.
Right back where it came from, a base hit on the first pitch.
I would say the first report card's pretty good.
Yeah.
Something down and away. He stayed on it a little longer. And right back through the middle.
One on, one out for Jace Peterson. Braves second baseman at 216. Freddie Gonzalez talked before the game about how not only has he shuffled the lineup from an offensive standpoint, he might be shuffling the defensive lineup for the Braves in the upcoming days on the road trip. And some of that might involve Jace Peterson. There's the 0-1 pitch. Snap throw by Vasquez back to first, and Freddie back safely.
Vasquez just back from the disabled list. He had Tommy John surgery a little over a year ago, and I'd say his elbow is just fine. Porcello, by the way, has induced the most double plays of any pitcher since 2009.
At the knees, 1 ball, 2 strikes. But Freddie Gonzalez has talked about possibly moving Adonis Garcia to left field for the Braves. And that would mean Jace Peterson, Kelly Johnson would see some time at third base. One ball, 2 strikes. And that just missed.
As much as Adonis has struggled at times at third base with the errors he's made, he's hitting a ton. You can't take his bat out of the lineup. So if there's a better opportunity for him in left field to help the team, then maybe that's the right move. So he's hot.
Garcia, another hit tonight. 2-2. Peterson stays alive.
Yeah, you got to find a way to keep that bat in the lineup, but at the same time, if defensively, you know, you're compromised a little bit with a team that's struggling to score runs, you sure can't afford to give that other team extra outs.
Freddie started, then stopped, and the count is now full. Mallex Smith is on deck. We are just underway in Atlanta. No score in the Braves second. Freddie's running, and Peterson bounces it foul. Cowboy Joe West with the call at first base. Three balls, 2 strikes. Again, Freddie runs, and it's out of play foul. Joe, as you know, a terrific country music performer.
He's probably over there humming his favorite song right now.
Could be.
The bridge is out, I can't swim, and my baby's on the other side.
Again, Freddie runs, and a bouncing ball right side. There'll be 1 play to first, 2 outs. Joe had a great line years ago when I was in Chicago. He walked in to Wrigley Field with a big box of his CDs and said, "Hey, you guys on WGN today?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Will you promote my album for me?" I said, "Sure, why not?" Before I could finish saying that, he said, "Because if I sell enough of them, I promise I'll retire."
If we'd only known.
Now let's see if Mallex Smith can deliver a 2-out hit. Pitcher Julio Teheran due next. And a dribbler to first. And that'll be close. but in time to retire the side. No runs, a hit, a man left. No score. Atlanta, the Boston Red Sox enter play tonight, 9-9 on the year, 2.5 games behind the Baltimore Orioles. And here's where John Farrell's club ranks offensively.
And those doubles, as you see in the major leagues, that's not just the American League, tied for first, and they have the best road average at 298, I beg your pardon. And they are really worried, because they've gone 3 whole games without a homer.
Panic in the back bay. For John Farrell and the Red Sox. Who send Christian Vasquez to the plate to start the top of the 3rd inning. Vasquez, a 9th-round pick in 2008 by Boston, as Joe mentioned, missed all of last year coming back from Tommy John surgery. His first big league action came in 2014, where he hit .240, but he threw out 51% of would-be base stealers for the Red Sox. Right now, Julio is painting.
Remember his last start, he had been skipped a day because of the flu, and he pitched like he was still getting over the flu in that outing against the Dodgers. Got a no decision, pitched into the 6th inning and only gave up 2 runs. But remember, we saw him out on the mound in the 1st inning shaking his head. He was a little dizzy. Freddie Gonzalez told us after the game, he said, that scared me because I thought he was going to have to come out of the game.
Yeah, he's got a little more pep in his step tonight for sure.
Sure does.
That's poked foul to the right side and into the seats. And a fan from Chambly makes the catch in the front row. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Vasquez, Porcello, and then Mookie Betts.
The Red Sox had to play a little longer than they wanted to last night in Houston in the Sunday night game. Craig Kimbrell gave up a 2-run homer in the 9th to tie it. And I believe it was the 12th inning that they The Red Sox finally won it.
Swing and a miss. That is 4 strikeouts for Julio Teheran tonight. And here's Porcello.
So had the breaking ball working tonight.
Yeah, I recognize this guy.
Yeah.
Not sure if Porcello came to Atlanta ahead of the Red Sox last night. Stands to reason that he might. He didn't land until 5:30 this morning after a 5-hour and 3-minute game last night. 0-2.
The joys of the Sunday night game.
Yeah. Well, that's 5 hours of joy for sure if you got to watch that.
Out towards second. And Porcello is out number 2. 2-night games here in Atlanta. Then we head to Boston, where the Braves will play on Wednesday night and Thursday night. Then we'll fly to the Midwest and open up a weekend series with the Cubs Friday afternoon. So the schedule makers have done the Braves no favors this week either.
I was going to say, you guys are going to have a little joy of your own there Thursday night.
Want us to call you when we land?
Yeah, go ahead. Just so I'll know. So I can laugh when I wake up.
Upstairs from Mookie Betts. It's all hard, Joe.
I'll be getting up for carpool about the time you guys will be getting in.
Teheran did something to Betts in the first inning that hasn't happened in a while. In the previous 5 games for the Red Sox, he's gotten on base and scored a first inning run.
Yeah, they've been a juggernaut in the first inning lately.
This guy's some kind of good player.
That's hit hard to right. Markakis on a sprint to the warning track. It's over his head and off the base of the fence. Betts on his way to second. He'll stop with a double with 2 outs.
See how he drove that ball out, jumped to right center field. This guy played in only 145 games last year for the Red Sox, and yet he hit .291 with 18 homers, 42 doubles, drove in 77, and stole 21 bases out of the leadoff spot. Not too bad.
Not bad. And in his bio, they talk about him doing things last year that hasn't been done since the 1900s and since Ted Williams. So that's pretty good company.
Yeah.
Marcus Lynn Betts, nicknamed Mookie, named for former NBA point guard Mookie Blaylock, is in scoring position for Pedroia. And ball 1 to Dustin. Two DL stints for Pedroia last year, played 93 games. He's healthy and he's tearing the cover off the ball to start the year this year.
A lot of Red Sox fans here tonight.
And now AJ out for a chat with the count 2 balls, no strikes. Pedroia now 32 years old. Turned 33 in mid-August. Boston got him with a 2nd-round pick 12 years ago. A shot the other way. Tricky hop. But Jace Peterson stayed with it.
That was a tricky hop that really helped Jace. It kind of came back to him.
the hole at short. Long throw, Castro, and he got his man. Fly ball, well hit center. Malik Smith on the run, still going. He got there. Diving stop at third by Rutledge. Pretty play.
A couple defensive gems already to start the game.
And those defensive gems are Toyota key plays. Another nice play by Jace Peterson to end the Red Sox third. Now Julio Teheran leads off and takes a strike.
Betts has made a good play too.
Strike three. Retires Teheran. Second strikeout for Rick Porcello.
Did you see what Vasquez did there? That was outstanding. I heard a scouting report on him about how well he frames pitches. He was set up away, but he caught the ball to his left, but he held it there for Mark Rippinger to see plainly that it's a strike. It's not where I wanted it, but it's right down the middle, and got the call for leaving his glove just sitting there instead of trying to move it around. Nicely done.
Nick Markakis flied out his first time up. Mentioned earlier, Nick has always been a big-time hitter in interleague play. And here are Nick's interleague numbers.
The other three guys no longer playing.
That brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. 2 balls and a strike. That slashed foul.
The only qualifier on that for Nick, unfortunately for the Braves, is that about 95% of that damage came against the National League when he was playing for Baltimore.
Swing and a miss.
See, that's where Porcello, who was, I guess, being ridden in the Boston press, rightfully so, last year. He went 9-15 with an ERA of almost 5. But one of the weapons he has is that 92 four-seamer that he can elevate when you're thinking sinker, slider, you're thinking down. He can elevate your eye level and get away with it.
Tommy, was that first-year itis for Rick Porcello last year? Big contract, traded for Cespedes, new town, Fenway Park, all that.
Probably. I mean, that's, you know, Boston's a pretty high pressure place to play to begin with. So factor in who you were traded for, the money you signed for, all those things. It can be tough that first year. But, you know, I mean, you look at his, like you say, 92, 93 with some sink, 93, 94 four-seamer, good breaking ball, really good changeup. But, you know, like people in Boston are starting to talk about, well, maybe last year's bad year was the anomaly, you know, and this is more of who he is.
Well, you know, they take what he did last time out. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 runs in 7 innings against Tampa Bay.
And he's 10 games over 500 for his career, despite that bad year last year. He's 88-78.
And for what he is, you know, he's not a bad sign. I mean, he's a legit number 3. He's going to eat innings for you, but I think sometimes we tend to get too caught up in how much money they're making.
To third. Nice pick. Rutledge loads up, strong throw, and right on the money. 3 up, 3 down in the Atlanta third. Middle of the order up for the Red Sox. No score. Tonight, Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, Kelsey Wingert, Chip Carey with you. Here at Turner Field, the Red Sox over the last 4 games heating up.
Yeah, if you like doubles, triples, and homers, this is a great graphic. Especially if you're a Red Sox fan. These guys are tearing it up. And they're all at the top of their order, too, and that helps things out. This whole team swinging the bat real well. They are 9-9, 2.5 back in the American League East, and a much improved ball club over last season.
I love the point that you made a little while ago, how young they are and how athletic they are. And this young man certainly is at the center of that discussion. Xander Bogaerts, who was robbed by Malik Smith, who made a great running catch to take away a double in the first.
Let's use this guy as an example for my upcoming point here, and I'll try to make it quick. This guy, when he first came up, was just pretty much a defensive replacement. They didn't know what he might do hitting wise, but he was in the postseason and in the World Series as a backup. He's evolved into their number 3 hitter and an outstanding everyday player. But the experience he got as a young player at a tender age, I want to say 20. I might be a little off on that. My point is to some of the Braves young players, position players, that they are hoping work their way up. They gave this guy an opportunity right away, even as a backup player.
Yeah, he was 20 years old when he got to the big leagues in 2013. Only played a handful of games with the Red Sox. But to your point, yeah, he played in the postseason.
He did.
Yeah. It's throw a guy into that fire, then you got some pretty big expectations for him.
So then the next year, 2014, 144 games, hit .240. Last year, he added 80 points to his batting average, hit .320, and drove in 81 runs.
And he's all of 23 years old now.
Yep. AJ held it there, thought that was good enough. Mark Ripperger didn't give him the call.
Julio wanted it for sure.
Nothing wrong with that. Julio's now past that 45 pitch threshold, so we'll keep an eye on what happens. Hitters are 1 for 10 to this point.
Justice served. Bogaerts didn't get an off-speed pitch. 5 strikeouts for Teheran. Six strikeouts is Julio's regular season high. He's 1 away from that as Travis Shaw takes a ball.
Well, he is pounding the strike zone tonight, and even his misses aren't too far off.
High pop to the left side. That's slicing into the seats, foul. If Travis's family name is familiar, or baseball fans might remember his dad, Jeff Shaw, who pitched 12 big league seasons with Cleveland, Montreal, the Reds and Dodgers. A little bit of time with the White Sox too.
He was a good closer for several years there.
Travis went to Kent State University. And now has a full count. Josh Rutledge on deck. Bases empty, 1 out. No score, 4th inning. And a base on balls, the second walk for Julio tonight. And here is Rutledge. Rutledge has the longest hitting streak in Major League history against the Braves. He's riding an 8-gamer that started way back in 2012. And he had a good cut there, strike 1.
That's probably what he told John Farrell when he came into the clubhouse today was, you know, I haven't had an offer against these guys in 4 years.
Yeah. That's base hit to left. So the hitting streak is 9 for Rutledge against Atlanta. And the Red Sox have a 4th inning threat. 2 on, 1 out.
Is that a changeup?
I think so.
The spin coming out of his hand looked like an attempt at one, but it was up.
So here's that man again, Brock Holt. Boy, you talk about a valuable player. Brock Holt has appeared at 7 defensive positions for the Red Sox in back-to-back years. And he made the All-Star team last year. With a .280 average, only 2 homers, 45 RBIs. He's one of the hot Boston hitters.
When Rutledge got to first base and was getting some instructions, it dawned on me that there are players who have gone into the broadcast booth straight from the field or even into the front office. It's not very often one goes from the front office to the field. But the new first base coach for the Boston Red Sox is Ruben Amaro Jr., the former vice president and general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies.
I did not realize that. I didn't know that was him down there.
There's a strike. It's 2-2. This is Ruben Amaro's first year coaching baseball at any level. He did play in the big leagues, though. He broke in '91 with the California Angels, and with the Phillies, of course, and the Cleveland Indians.
Three ball counts already this inning.
That's hammered foul. And we'll do it again.
In fact, those three ball counts are all full counts, so a lot of pitches this inning. And again, his numbers against him from 1 to number 45, batting average against him is 184, and so far on the year after pitch number 45, that batting average goes to 320.
Jackie Bradley's next. Swing and a miss. The throw to third is going to be an easy strike him out, throw him out, double play. 6 strikeouts for Teheran. A.J. Pierzynski guns down Shaw, and the Red Sox are done in the 4th. Defense has been outstanding, Tommy.
Defense has been real good. Pitching's been pretty good. We'll strike them out, throw them out, double play to end the inning. Gonna love that as a pitcher. Good pitch elevating in the zone and easy caught stealing for A.J. Pierzynski on that one. So yeah, some good defensive plays all around.
That was like the play in Major League. You remember when Willie Mays Hayes was learning how to run the bases and the defender just said, come on, let me go ahead and tag you. He was out by a mile over there at third base.
And the Red Sox have been very good in that department. As a team, they were 15 for 16 prior to that one. And no one in the starting lineup tonight had been thrown out until Shaw was gunned down.
So let's see what Garcia could do to start the Braves' 4th. Looking for his 8th multi-hit game. And that one's grounded to Bogarts. Xander Bogarts with a strong arm. 1 out. Another chance for AJ to get number 2,000. What an impressive list. And he's a strike.
He spent a little time in Boston too.
Good cut.
Seems like yesterday and today, in his effort to get the 2,000th hit, he's been behind in the count just about every time he steps up there. Had to battle.
Little flare. That is just foul.
God.
AJ had something to say to Kevin Seitzer as he heads back to the batter's box.
I'm going to say he wouldn't have wanted that one for his 2000 anyway. I know it'll look like a line drive 10 years from now, but.
Well, I know if Andy Fletcher had missed that call and it landed right there in front of him, there would have been somebody to pay.
Do those milestones get in your head a little bit, Tommy, when you get closer to them?
Yeah, I mean, for pitchers, they're probably a little bit bigger deal because they're, usually wins and things of that nature. So that the game is a little bit more magnitude. But, for the hitters, the hits are a big deal. I mean, those are huge milestones, and I'm sure it's playing on his mind a little bit.
A little frustration there, too.
Porcello has set down 7 straight. He's got 4 strikeouts and no walks. And here's Jeff Francoeur. Jeff didn't get a slider in his first at bat. He was Porcello's first strikeout victim of the game.
That first pitch is a good example of what we talk about, throwing a guy a pitch that he's looking for, but somewhere that he can't hit. Jeff's notoriously aggressive first pitch, so you throw him a first pitch fastball up above his hands.
Knowing he's not going to lay off it.
Right.
Pretty simple for Freddie Gonzalez these days. If you hit, you play. And Jeff is our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot feature.
Excellent numbers along with 3 RBIs. His average up over 300.
To the right side. Shaw picks it up, takes it to the bag, and we are through 4 scoreless innings in Atlanta. Porcello and Teheran pitching beautifully in game 1 of our series. Airlines get us from city to city. We'll be flying late tomorrow night to Boston for our lone trip to historic Fenway Park. Boy, that is always a treat. One of the great things about interleague play is you get a chance to go to that place every year. If you're the Braves, the Red Sox, the so-called natural rivalry of the Red Sox, as of course the Braves used to be in Boston. Here's Jackie Bradley. He bounced out to third in the second for the Red Sox. Julio Teheran is pitching a terrific game. He struck out 6. And a straightaway center, Malik Smith.
Something about Jackie Bradley Jr. He came out of South Carolina, University of South Carolina, was the most outstanding player in the College World Series when they won the national championship and a high draft pick by Boston. But he started off last year just horrible. He was 7 for 58. That's a 121 average. So make kind of a comparison to Malik Smith. Malik's off to a slow start. After the 7 for 58 start, his next 25 games, Jackie Bradley hit 446 to get on track. And the same thing could happen for Malik's.
Big hop for Jace Peterson. He'll throw to first in time. 2 out.
Given the playing time and the at-bats, sticking with the guys, basically what I'm saying. That's what the Red Sox did last year with Bradley.
Well, that's an interesting quandary, isn't it? Because there's 2 schools of thought. Don't bring your kids up from the minor leagues until you feel that they're ready to succeed and you don't have to worry about sending them back. The other school of thought is bring them up here and let them struggle and figure it out at this level. As Adonis will throw wide to first, and Porcello is safely aboard. That's his 7th error, and a good number of them have been throwing errors, and that's why Freddie Gonzalez is thinking about having him in left.
I hope this didn't hurt Freddie Freeman's wrist. He took his glove off momentarily, but he was in harm's way there. Yeah, and that was a relatively routine play.
You know, to your point, Chip, though, about letting guys play. He's trying to see if Porcello stepped on the bag or not. Oh, dragged his toe across.
Foot.
I agree with you. You know, if you, especially in this situation for the Braves, if you think these guys figure into your future, let them play. So long as if and when they do struggle, you know that mentally they can handle it. That's the thing that you have to figure out.
Fly ball by Betts. That's hammered deep right. Markakis on the run to the track. He got there. And that will retire the side. A 5-pitch inning for Julio Teheran.
The 5th inning. Freddie Freeman due up here for the Braves in the bottom of the 5th. Tomorrow, join us back here on Fox Sports South as the Braves take on the Red Sox one more time at home before they head to Boston. It's the Braves and Red Sox tomorrow with coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern Time on Fox Sports South and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's April in the ATL, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
What did Matt Whistler do? Look at who he's matched up with in his first starts this year. He's got to go up against David Price.
Well, let's go back to what Tom was talking about a minute ago. Look what last year did for Matt Whistler.
Yeah.
Getting all the innings he got in last year and what a difference it seems to have made for him this year confidence-wise. He's obviously one of those guys that has had some confidence in his own ability. Went 8-8 last year, and he's off to a good start this year with the way he's throwing.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I've been on record a lot saying how much I like him and his upside, and I think so much of it has to do with his attitude and his approach. The stuff is there, obviously, but his desire to get better and want to learn, and I think properly evaluate what he's doing, I think are all big things in his favor.
Freddie Freeman had a first pitch single back in the second inning, hitting 6th tonight for the Braves. And he starts the home 5th. Porcello has retired 8 straight. And he lays down a bunt.
Love it. Why not?
The Red Sox shift. He makes them pay, and Freddie Freeman is 2 for 2.
And they shifted their infielders too just before that. They moved Bogarts back to shortstop. Freddie didn't have to be exact with it. He just had to keep it fair.
Yeah, that tells you how much room he had over there. He squared around about the same time you do for a sacrifice bunt, and still got a base hit.
And leading off an inning, great idea.
Love it.
Jace Peterson grounded out. He's 0 for 1. And he thought about a bunt. 1 ball, no strikes. Mets are playing the Reds tonight. They lead 3-1 behind Noah Syndergaard. A couple of home runs in that game for New York. It was Conforto and Duda, I believe, for New York.
That's correct.
Foul at first, even count. Miami's in Los Angeles later on this evening. It'll be a homecoming for Don Mattingly, the former Dodger manager, leads the Marlins into town to start a series.
Back to those young players. I think minor league managers and coaches get a good feel for, especially at the upper levels, AA and AAA, for how tough-minded these guys are, these prospects are. They go through bad stretches down there just like you can go through up here, and how they handle it there is a good reflection on what they might do at this level too. So even before they get here, the organization knows that this guy had a rough spell, but he came out of it the other side in good shape. I've said before, I think to you, Chip, that with regard to Malik's, I don't know if he's going to hit 300 this year or 320 or anything like that. But what I have come to learn about him is that he's going to go down swinging, and he's going to work and try real hard, and he doesn't seem to have the type personality to go around and mope, pout, and feel sorry for himself. He's going to try to get it fixed.
Sharply hit to short. Bogarts to Pedroia, and not in time. Slow developing play. Freeman forced at second. Peterson at first with 1 out.
Yeah, I think Bogarts got caught in between. He wanted to take that himself initially and hesitated for a second before making the flip to Pedroia.
He probably would have gotten more on his throw too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see by his reaction there.
So instead of 2 outs, 1 out from Alex Smith. He bounced out to Shaw at first base.
I think the other thing for Malik too is going to be where does he fit into the equation when Inciarte comes back from the DL? You potentially got 2 pretty good outfielders out there. Go get some balls, but if he's going to struggle to get at bats, then that's clearly a situation where he's better served to be getting at bats at the AAA level.
And the word is Sorry, Tom. The word is Inciarte might get into some rehab games by the end of next week. He's down in Orlando along with Gordon Beckham, who was on his way down to the Braves complex to work on his hamstring. Vasquez with the throw, and Peterson is gunned out. 52% of would-be base stealers were thrown out last year by Vasquez, and he showed off a cannon there for the second out.
Looked like a hit and run play. Typically on a hit and run, you don't get quite as good a jump because you want to make sure you don't get picked off. Alex swung through the pitch, and that left Jace Peterson out there to dry.
Now strike two. Braves have 3 singles tonight. The Red Sox have a single and a double. And that's right there, and Alex couldn't pull the trigger. 5 strikeouts for Rick Porcello, and our scoreless game moves to inning number 6. To Rocket Arms. Both Teheran and Porcello giving their managers exactly what they needed tonight.
Yeah, and good command too. A walk, a couple of walks for Julio, but 6 strikeouts. Porcello so far, no walks. And doing a good job of controlling their pitch count too.
Red Sox had to work 8 2/3 innings out of the bullpen last night in their extra inning game down in Houston, and coupled with a long flight. Porcello trying to go 6 or more for the 11th, make that 12th consecutive start tonight.
That's pretty solid, isn't it? 12 straight with 6 or more.
So a tough inning ahead for Teheran. Pedroia, Bogarts, and Shaw coming up for a 3rd time. Pedroia's 0 for 2. One ball, no strikes. When Pedroia came up to the Red Sox, he obviously had a great deal of major league talent, but he fit in immediately with the Boston locker room. His first full season in 07, he hit .317, and he almost was like a mascot for them. They called him the Caballito, the little horse, because he made the Red Sox go that year. What a marvelous career for Dustin Pedroia, who enters play tonight with the highest fielding percentage as a second baseman in history.
Is that right?
How about that? .991.
And a .299 career hitter coming into this season.
Two balls, two strikes. Driven toward Markakis in right. And Nick will get there. Pedroia's retired. There's out number one.
I'll say this for Julio. Their best bolts tonight have been hit to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Teheran's been efficient. 72 tosses tonight with 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. And here's Xander Bogaerts. That floated in for a strike.
I love that pitch on the first pitch. These guys can't do it to every guy, but so often that's been a beauty for him.
I love what you said about Julio earlier, Joe. You recognize this guy.
Yeah. This is the guy that pitched so well the last 6 weeks of the season last year. The guy that started this year 0-2 with a .564 ERA. I don't know him. We've talked about his season last year and how there were a handful of games that just kept his ERA inflated to the max, and Boston was one of those games. He made a start against them, 6 1/3 innings, 13 hits and 6 runs.
That's lined over second by Bogaerts. That's the third Boston hit. And it comes with 1 out.
Slider caught a little too much of the plate. Trying to get that to finish off the plate like he's done a few times tonight. That one hung up there and finished more in the middle of the plate, and Bogaerts able to get a good piece of it.
Travis Shaw with a homer and 9 RBIs has struck out and walked. Mentioned the 13 home runs he hit last year. His first 6 came in a span of 15 starts. Runner goes, and Shaw didn't mean to. There's a break. Shaw was the first left-handed hitting Red Sox with as many as 13 homers in his first big league season since Sam Horn.
Remember Sam Horn. I think Sam Horn played in that 33-inning minor league game that Paul Tuckett had with.
No. Was it Rochester?
I think Rochester.
Runner goes again. The pitch, a strike. The throw to second on target. but not fast enough to get Bogarts, who steals his third base. And now he's in scoring position with 1 out.
Kind of surprised Julio didn't at least check him.
Me too.
He got such a big jump on the foul ball.
And with that great move of his, I think sometimes he takes it a little personally when somebody gets that kind of jump on him.
Let's see if Julio can make a big 2-strike pitch. Popped up. Francour's coming on, and he'll get there. Shaw pops out, 2 down. Looked for a moment like there's some confusion with either Francour or Castro. That ball hung up there for a while until Jeff came charging in. 2 outs.
I don't know if Frenchie got a good look at it. I don't think he saw it initially. He was kind of looking at Castro to see where he was looking. And
good recovery.
Rutledge has one of Boston's 3 hits. Came last time up.
Braves are playing him a little differently this time around too. He was up there with a runner at first, and the Braves are playing for a double play, so Castro's cheated up the middle a little bit. Now you see Castro way over to his right with 2 out. No need to be concerned about a double play, and that is exactly where Rutledge hit the ball.
Foul ball to the right side, and Julio's ahead 0-2. 6 strikeouts for the Braves right-hander, matches his season high. He's got Rutledge set up.
Good try. I like that waste pitch.
Yep. See if he follows that up now with a slider that finishes in the dirt off the plate.
Great catch. Above us and to our right. Actually, 2 great catches. Come to think about it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Long at bat for Rutledge here in the Red Sox 6th.
I think that first 0-2 fastball up and away was on purpose. I don't know if the next couple were on purpose or not. I don't know if they're trying to hit that down and away, and he's just not getting there.
Swing and a miss. Slider got Rutledge.
There's the one you wanted.
Yep. 7 strikeouts for Julio Teheran, a new season high. He'll take matters into his own hands when the Braves come up in a scoreless 6th.
Going into the home half of the sixth, it's time for our Xfinity game break. The bats have been hot for the Mets, and that continued tonight. First inning, a solo shot by Michael Conforto. That's the first run of the game against the Reds. Now we'll go to the third. It's Luca Duda's turn. He hits a 2-run shot, and the Mets have 25 home runs in the last 10 games. It's currently 3-1 in the fifth inning, guys.
Thanks, Kelsey. The Mets are for real. They can really hit, and when you've got a guy like Syndergaard on the mound, you get 3 runs. It's pretty much see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, feeling pretty good about it.
That was.
So Rick Porcello with a quick 2-strike pitch to Julio. That one's dribbled toward first, and it's going to trickle foul. It's still 0-2.
You mentioned Porcello's gone at least 6 innings in each of his last 11 starts. He's also had 7 or more strikeouts in his last 6 starts. He has 5 strikeouts tonight.
One ball, 2 strikes. David Price gets the ball for Boston tomorrow. Braves and Red Sox have played a very close overall series since the advent of interleague play. Boston leads 32-30 in the all-time series as that lollipop strikes out Teheran for the first out. That's not fair.
No, it's not.
With Markakis coming to the plate, Porcello started the night. On the year, left-handers were just 4 for 32 against him. They're 4 for 40 except for Freddie Freeman, who's 2 for 2 tonight. So Freddie ought to feel pretty good about himself, even with a bunt hit.
That's downstairs for Nick Markakis. 2 balls, no strikes.
Markakis had good numbers against him too coming in. 407 career mark with a homer.
And you heard what Freddie Gonzalez had to say in Kelsey's report before the game when we talked about the lineup change. When Inciarte got hurt, Markakis moved to the #1 spot and hasn't stopped hitting. He's been on base in 17 consecutive appearances, with hits in 12 of those 17 games. Three balls and a strike. Good hitters count. And Markakis aboard with a 1-out walk.
Only the 4th walk of the year for Porcello. See if the Braves can parlay that into the lead.
Castro's played Pepper with Rutledge at third base twice. Daniel was 0 for 2.
Yeah, he got robbed once. Diving stop. I would say to Braves fans that with the team at 4-14 right now, everybody understands the frustration. But if there's somebody you want to latch onto and follow and be a fan of, here's your guy. He's a baseball player and he's playing well. He's in the lineup now every day because of his defense and his hitting. And he's fun to watch.
No balls and a strike. Not surprising, that style of play, because the man that used to wear his number played the same way, Martin Prado.
Yeah, he's a guy that, you know, if you're watching him on another team and don't know a whole lot about him, you're going to say, well, man, I really like the way he plays the game. You know, he plays it the right way, and like we've always said, every night he does something. And tonight he started off with a great defensive play on the leadoff hitter to start the game.
Well, he got 3 hits yesterday, and then he made the last out of the game with the potential tying run at second base, and it ate him up. He had a ground ball to second, put it in play, but it really bothered him that he was the guy that left that tying run out there.
One ball, 2 strikes. Bogarts at short. Flips to Pedroia for 1. Quick turn. And Shaw couldn't hang on at first. Pedroia wonders what in the world happened on that play.
It looked like a good throw.
Shaw just flat out missed it.
Like he tried to stretch for it and missed it.
Can't assume the double play, but that was just a whiff.
Yeah.
So Garcia gets a chance to hit with 2 outs. And he hits one right at Pedroia, and the flip to second retires the side. Off we go to the 7th. Game tonight, and boy, Julio Teheran is pitching like the man that was so impressive in the latter days of the 2015 season.
And the strikeout ball tonight, a couple elevated fastballs, but mostly that breaking ball down and away to right-handed hitters, whether it's the slider or the curveball. Strike them out, throw them out there, help, but that pitch right there to the right-handers has been on tonight, and it's been set up really by his ability to locate his fastball.
So Julio set to turn loose, pitch number 87. He'll start with Brock Holt, whom the Red Sox acquired from Pittsburgh the day after Christmas 2012. That was the deal that brought Joel Hanrahan to Boston. Mark Melanson, Stormy Pimentel, Ivan De Jesus, and Jerry Sands went back to the Pirates. Right up the elevator shaft. And Nick Markakis puts the squeeze on that. Bolts over 2.
That's one of the, you look at that deal, and that was hand-to-hand for Melanson.
Yeah.
And they expanded the deal. So now when you're talking about some of those other players, whether they were considered fringe players, the so-called throw-ins or whatever, if you're making deals and your scouts are giving you good info on some of those peripheral players, boy, the Red Sox stole Brock Holt.
Jackie Bradley is 0 for 2. Lives in Naples, Florida in the offseason. And just launched one to right. Markakis as far as he can go, and the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead.
Changeup.
Yeah. Good time for his first homer of the year if you're a Red Sox fan.
That snaps their 3-game homerless drought. And Jackie Bradley Jr. puts Boston in front in the top of the 7th. Here's Vasquez.
I would say on this effort tonight for Julio, he got beat there on maybe his 4th best pitch.
Yep.
Just a mistake with the changeup.
And so for Julio, the 4th home run he's allowed to a left-handed batter this year. And it's the first run of the game. Cut by Vasquez. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a line drive over third. That's a fair ball. Francoeur dig it out of the corner. And back-to-back extra base hits for Boston. It's a double by Vasquez, his 2nd of the year. And Porcello, the Boston pitcher, is coming up.
Hanging slider, changeup, and now the hanging breaking ball. Try to get that to finish a little bit more down and away, but hung over the plate and put a good swing on it for the double.
Isn't it funny? No, it's not so funny. Isn't it weird how hanging breaking balls are always in the inner half?
Yes.
You never hang one when you're trying to go down and away.
No.
That's Chris Withrow in the bullpen for Atlanta. And Roger McDowell's reset concludes, and Porcello's coming up.
All right, got to gather yourself here. Keep it to 1. Keep your offense in it.
That's popped up. The ball bounces in front of A.J. and his throw to first is late. Couple of cases of the dropsies for the Braves catcher. Remember, he dropped a pop-up in the first inning. This ball squibbed around on the grass and he couldn't come up cleanly.
Well, I think he got caught up in Julio trying to make the catch, and then the ball took a funny spin on him. He didn't handle it cleanly. The ball had a lot of spin on it.
A lot of backspin.
No harm. Ground ball, double play.
It scored a hit for Porcello, and now Mookie Betts is the hitter. 3 straight Red Sox safeties in the 7th.
That could have been called a balk.
Yeah.
He had the ball in his hand, kind of went into an odd stretch with his foot on the rubber, put the ball in his glove, and then separated his hand from the glove.
Foul at third, 0-2.
Ball jumps off this guy's bat like we've talked about how it jumped off Conforto's bat in the Mets series. Everything's loud.
Big pitch, 0-2. Welcome to Atlanta, Mookie Betts.
Don't get too comfortable.
No, I like it. You know, some guys taking some good swings at his breaking ball on the outer part of the plate. Keep him honest. Don't let him get such a good look at that.
Swing and a miss. Betts is down on strikes. There's the second out.
Set up by the fastball up and in. He got Betts a little excited about how he's not going to let Julio do that to him and swung at a bad pitch. Good for Teheran.
But now you got a real tough out in Dustin Pedroia, who's 0 for 3. But this is a spot where Dustin has struggled in the early going. He's 3 for his first 18 with a runner in scoring position.
Pitchers in the American League so rarely get to hit, let alone run the bases. I'm watching Rick Porcello over there at second base, and he looks like he's ready to come out of the starting blocks in the Olympic 100-meter. Watch when Julio comes set. He'll be ready to go.
3 straight too high to Pedroia.
Got to make a pitch here like he's going to be swinging. was taken all the way.
Glad he was too.
Me too. A little surprised at that.
All bets are off now, though.
Well, I'm thinking he's got to be looking for something in that same location. Middle in.
Didn't get the slider. Now the runners with a full count will get a head start.
He has been spot on location-wise to that place.
He has.
Here comes the 3-2. Runners go, and he lost him. Ball 4. They're loaded with 2 outs. And now Bogaerts is coming up. Decision time for Freddie Gonzalez with Julio at 105 pitches.
I think 110 is his season high. And he shows no signs of tiring to me. Only frustration.
Yeah, I think he tried to overthrow that pitch.
But the misplayed bunt has him out there for some extended tosses here in the 7th inning. Getting a clap there from A.J. Brzezinski.
Vasquez, Porcello, Pedroia, the Boston base runners. This is the first time all year Xander Bogaerts has batted with the bases loaded. And he's way ahead 0-2.
Kind of funny depending on your perspective. Julio's way ahead 0-2, and the guys over in the Red Sox booth are saying, oh, he was right on him.
Yeah. Well, make a pitch. Make a good pitch. Don't try to make it the best pitch in the world. Make a good pitch.
Out of play foul. A Jackie Bradley home run with 1 out in the 7th is the only Red Sox run. A double, a bunt, and a 2-out walk loads him up. AJ wants time.
Oh, I like that pitch. Wasn't his base hit his last time up in the 6th inning? Wasn't it kind of off the end of the bat over the top of Jace Peterson's head?
Little floater.
Breaking ball that just kind of one of the ones that finished in the middle of the plate and stayed on it.
Yeah, so I love that fastball in on his thumbs.
I like to see him throw that little slider he threw Pedroia 3-1 right here. Not that more of that sweeping curveball that he's been leaving over the plate a little bit.
Another 0-2 pitch.
Good try. The one thing I can see on his face right now is he lost his composure a little bit after the home run that resulted in the double. then he was bent out of shape after the bunt wasn't handled by he or AJ, and he was out of sorts. Now he seems to be refocused.
Yep. And he's about to make a season high in pitches. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Big Poppy a spectator as the Red Sox have him loaded in the 7th. What an at bat. I mean, this is a great battle between Julio Teheran and Xander Bogaerts.
Two pretty good pitches down and away.
I'd like to see him try to be able to locate that fastball down and away. All of his fastballs have been in the upper half of the strike zone this at bat.
He'll see another.
That's what they were trying to do there.
Well, based on his approach there on that fastball and still trying to protect against that slider away, boy, if you had any confidence in running a fastball in for a strike, I think you got him. Because you saw that swing right there where there was everything sold out to go the other way.
Yeah, there doesn't appear to be anything left of second base to the left side that he could do any damage on the way he's leaning and hanging out over the plate.
He's fouled off 5 2-strike pitches in this at bat. Two and two.
And with everything away over the last 4 or 5 pitches, it would be time to come in.
Line drive center right at Malik. He's got it. And Julio Teheran with a fist pump wins an epic battle with Xander Bogaerts, and the base is loaded. He bends but doesn't break. A Jackie Bradley home run, all Boston can manage, and we head to the stretch down 1-0.
family, sports, and outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Beautiful night in Atlanta. 75 degrees at first pitch. This crowd has been into it from the very beginning, and hopefully Atlanta fans will celebrate a victory over the Red Sox, and hopefully we'll talk about that with you on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. That follows us here at Turner Field. Well, how about that battle between Xander Bogaerts and Julio Teheran? Bases were loaded. Bogaerts kept fouling off pitch after pitch, and then Julio got a line drive to center to get out of the mess.
Yeah, fortunately got him to hit it right at somebody, so Julio goes down as the winner, but what an at-bat by Bogaerts. And Julio able to keep it at a 1-0 deficit. We'll see how that long inning affected Porcello, because remember, he was out on the base paths for most of it.
Porcello will face the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for the Braves. A.J. Przinsky, Jeff Francoeur, and Freddie Freeman, who's 2 for 2 tonight. A.J. is flied out to right, and he has struck out. And so here's Porcello once again. 12 consecutive games of 6 innings or better, and on a night when the Red Sox desperately need that. A 5-hour game in Houston yesterday that saw their relief corps work 8 2/3 innings against the Astros.
It's pretty impressive first pitch. After that long spell between innings for Porcello, he starts A.J. with an 80-mile-an-hour changeup and a beauty. Again, A.J. 0-2, trying to collect number 2000.
Fly ball toward left. Brock Holt's coming on. He's going to get there. Makes a shoulder high catch. There's the first out in the Braves' 7th. Porcello has been very tough. First 5 hitters for the Braves tonight are 1 for 13. He's only allowed 3 hits.
He's been sharp. He's continuing what he's been doing here for the last 11 starts.
Ross is up in the Boston bullpen.
Porcello in his starts, he's won 8-4, 5-3, and 7-3. A lot of run support. Not tonight, and perhaps pitching his best game. I was just looking at this roster of the Red Sox, and it struck me when Pedroia was up there. This is not, I mean, Ortiz is a big guy. Shaw at first base, he's a big guy. But they're not loaded with big guys. Their catcher's 5'9". Pedroia is 5'9". Mookie Betts is 5'9". These are guys, Brock Holt 5'10", Jackie Bradley Jr. 5'10". They're all solid athletes, but they're not what you would say, boy, they've got a bunch of bruisers.
Right.
And yet they still hitting for a ton of extra base hits and home runs.
In the air toward the gap in right center. Will that one get down? It will. Frank Coors thinking two. He's on his way, and he's going to make it with a belly flop slide into second. Jeff was thinking two at the moment of contact and has his 8th hit on the homestand.
It's amazing how he can drive the ball, even on a ball he's got to reach for like that one. That one's kind of off the end of the bat, and he still hit it a ton.
Yeah, good at bat for him too. Saw some nasty pitches get behind in the count. Got that breaking ball away from him, and like you say, stayed on it and drove it, and was thinking two out of the box.
So let's see if Freddie Freeman hitting 6th pays off tonight. RBI chance for the Braves first baseman. He's 2 for 2. One of those hits a bunt. And Vasquez a nice stop. 1 ball, no strikes. Just missed.
Yeah, I thought I saw Rippinger flinch a little bit.
Peterson and Smith, 2 left-handed hitters, are due next. Robbie Ray up and throwing in the Boston bullpen.
This is where Porcello is pitching to Freddie Freeman's track record, not what he's been doing so far this year. He does not want to let him beat him in this situation.
And a 4-pitch walk puts runners at first and second. And John Farrell is on his way out from the Boston dugout. With all the lefties scheduled for Atlanta, looks like the Boston skipper will go get Rick Porcello.
I tell you what, if he does, I think that's in favor of the Braves. This guy's such a double play machine that maybe that's why Porcello was pitching the way he was to Freeman. He has no qualms about trying to get a ground ball. They're going to go to the bullpen. I think this is a break for Atlanta, the way this guy gets ground balls.
Porcello, another terrific effort for the Red Sox, but the tying run is at second for Atlanta. Robbie Ray is coming on.
Is sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, and the Georgia Lottery.
Game on the bases for the Braves. 2 on, 1 out. I misspoke earlier. My apologies. It's Robbie Ross Jr. on to pitch for the Red Sox. The Braves will pinch hit Drew Stubbs.
Right-handers hitting .333 against him.
See if Drew can make some contact here. 26 at bats. He struck out 13 times and is looking for his first pinch hit.
Mid-90s fastball and that curve. That was a good one.
Ross is from Lexington, Kentucky. Was originally a Texas Ranger. 2 balls and a strike.
Last Atlanta Braves player to hit a home run was Drew Stubbs. That was on April 10th against the Cardinals.
Little roller out toward second. Handcuff Pedroia. Flip to second and still in time to get Freddie Freeman. The Braves might take a look at this at second base. The ball ate up Dustin Pedroia, but he didn't panic and made the play at second.
He slid past the bag thinking maybe double play.
Yeah. You know what? He should be safe. It's just a matter of him getting to the bag before the baseball. If he comes off the bag at that point, it doesn't matter because they're not tagging him. Bogarts was trying to act as a first baseman here. He couldn't get to the bag first. It did, definitely did. No appeal. I thought he was safe.
So Eric Ibar is going to grab a bat. He will hit for Malik Smith. Francour's at third. Stubbs is at first. And 2 men are out. And that's taken low. Ball 1. To say Eric could use a hit is an understatement. He's 4 for his last 45 at the plate.
On that last delivery from Ross.
Outside corner. 1-2.
Pretty good pitch. 96 in on the hands. A backdoor cutter.
He's got 1 wild pitch on the year. That helped too.
Julio Teheran pitched a beauty. Needs a run to get this thing even. Another 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Kelly Johnson is on deck. Nice stop and a good eye.
Real good play by Vasquez. Tying run at third. Right off that back edge of the plate, too. He looks like a dandy back there.
Here comes the payoff pitch. Strike 3 on a breaking ball, and that's the inning. Ross puts out the fire. The Braves strand a pair in the 7th, and Rick Porcello and the Red Sox enjoy a 1-0 lead as we head to the 8th.
Braves baseball is sponsored by Georgia Power and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Braves fans, spend your Memorial Day weekend here at Turner Field when the Braves take on the Miami Marlins and the San Francisco Giants. Friday, May 27th through Memorial Day, Monday, May the 30th. Don't miss the Chipper and Freddie ATV bobblehead on the 28th and Chris Stapleton on the 29th. Visit Braves.com/tickets today.
Changes defensively for the Braves. Daniel Castro moves from shortstop to second base. Eric Ibar remains in the game. He's at shortstop. Drew Stubbs is in center. And Jim Johnson is the second pitcher of the night for Atlanta.
Tenth outing for Jim Johnson. He's been getting better every time out following double hernia surgery in the offseason. What an outing for Julio. Great work.
Johnson's got 5 consecutive scoreless outings, covering 5 innings in relief for the Braves. Only 2 walks in that stretch. And he's got the 4, 5, and 6 hitters coming up for the BOS Sox. Right there, a strike, 2-2. Drew Stubbs will be tested immediately. 1 out. Here's Rutledge. At the moment, the Braves are playing their 6th 1-run game this year. They're 1-4 in those close games. The Red Sox are 1-2. And a strike to Rutledge.
Well, if the Braves 14 losses. Yesterday was the 7th by 1 or 2 runs.
John Farrell trying to get the Red Sox back over 500. They're 9-9 at the moment.
American League East, though, as good as most of those teams are, they're going to be beating up on each other all year long.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight all year.
Everybody's picking Toronto, and they're 10-10. And Toronto's been playing in the division most of the year, and they're 8-9 within the division.
$22,735 here tonight. AJ trying to steal a strike. No need to steal that one. That shaved the outside corner. Perfect pitch. 2 outs.
Had a little backup action on it too.
Quiet night for Brock Holt. He has walked. He's also flied out and struck out. So he has a streak alive, perhaps, in this at bat. High hopper. Castro charges, gloves, fires on the run, and holds out by a step. Jim Johnson threw 12 pitches, got 3 outs. 9-1-2 on the lineup card for the Braves, who are down 1-0.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
April in the ATL. The Beantown battle continues tomorrow with our series against the Red Sox right here on Fox Sports South and Fox Sports Go. While our friends at the Atlanta Hawks face the Boston Celtics in Game 5 of the NBA playoffs over on Fox Sports Southeast and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's a Boston sweet tea party here in the South.
I like it. 1-0, bottom of the 8th inning. Nice crowd tonight, hoping Atlanta can come back against a very tough Boston bullpen. Koji Uehara is the second reliever out up there for Boston in tonight's series opener.
Don't get me wrong, this guy's good and has been their closer before. But John Farrell could have played this differently because the Braves are down to Kelly Johnson or Tyler Flowers. He could have sent the left-hander out there to see if Freddie Gonzalez was going to send Kelly up against the lefty. And if Freddie countered with Tyler Flowers, then he could have gone to his right-hander. So this might work out well, hopefully, for the Braves bringing in Uehara.
Yeah, my guess would be he would have sent Kelly up there anyway because they hate to burn their backup catcher.
Popped up. Pedroia drifts back. One of the issues for the Red Sox last year in what was a dismal season for them was the work of their bullpen. The Red Sox had all kinds of relief issues, had one of the highest ERAs in the American League. One reason why Uehara got hurt late in the season. So they traded 5 prospects to San Diego to bring out Craig Kimbrell, former Brave. So Boston has Kimbrell, Uehara, and Tazawa in the late innings if they need him.
Well, after having said all that, the part about Uehara that you have to say John Farrell's got in his pocket is that this guy doesn't give up any hits. Either side. Hitters are now 3 for 27 on him against him on the year, and lefties are 1 for 11.
Yeah, well, when your guy's that good against either side, you don't really have to mess around too much with
matchups
and things like that.
Uehara was a big star with the Yomiuri Giants. He's in the second year of a 2-year deal. Originally came to the North American big leagues with Baltimore. And he just lost Nick Markakis, who represents the tying run. That's nice. 1 on, 1 out for Daniel Castro.
His high 80s with his fastball, but his primary pitch and his out pitch is a split finger pitch. See if Daniel can first and third him.
Strike 1. That walk by Uehara very, very rare. Last year, 43 games, he walked 9. Late inning walks in close games. Let's see if the Braves can take advantage. 1 ball, 1 strike. 86, center cut, 1-2.
Hopefully Daniel won't regret taking that one.
Swing and a miss. Up and away from the right hand hitting Daniel Castro. There's out number 2. And the fate of the inning rests in the hands of Adonis Garcia.
You know, the way Adonis has been swinging the bat, he's kind of ideal for this because he doesn't care where you're from or what you throw. He's just, you throw it, I'm going to swing. Doesn't really care what your feature pitch is or anything else. You and I were talking before the game time about modern day hitters, how they're almost like the old minor league hitters that swing at anything.
Yeah, see ball, hit ball.
Can't set them up. It's kind of the way Adonis has been. He's been behind in the count all the time. He still gets multi-hit games.
Looking for an 8th one of those in the bottom of the 8th inning. And that's popped toward the seats and into them.
I remember you guys in your heyday talking about how you hated pitching to Vladimir Guerrero, but you couldn't set him up.
No.
he
was just looking for the ball out of your hand.
Popped up. And Bogarts at shortstop, drifts back, plenty of room, and he'll make the one-handed catch. And we go to the 9th inning. It's still a 1-0 Boston ball game.
Premium, the #1 live streaming sports device, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
So to the 9th we go, and it's a rare outing for Arodys Vizcaino. We'll talk about that in a moment. First, a reminder, stay tuned for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity, after our ball game with Boston tonight. Freddie Gonzalez and the players will talk about Game 1 of this 4-game home series with Boston. Pitching opportunities for Arodys have been few and far between. This is only the 3rd time he's been out there in 10 days.
And as you can see, good numbers. 6 innings total, 4 hits, no runs. He's walked a few guys, pitched around them, struck out 9.
So hold him right there and hope the Braves can rally in the bottom of the 9th. The villain tonight is the man in the batter's box, Jackie Bradley Jr. He hit a homer last time up.
Good inning for Jim Johnson again. 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout.
From 98 to 83 on back-to-back pitches, and Bradley behind 0-2. Braves had him played absolutely perfectly. Jackie Bradley hits into the shift. There's the first out. And the roar you hear is for David Ortiz, who moves to the on-deck circle.
case where the shift certainly paid off for the Braves.
Vasquez a double in 3 trips. And they're going to strike. Nothing in 2. That's headed for the upper deck. And the fan from Billerica, Mass dropped it just flat out.
Oh, come on now.
Butchered it.
No.
See him up there, Joe?
Yeah.
Nothing but good fielders from Billerica.
It was yesterday. We had a nice catch by a fan from Billerica down the left field line.
Billerica, not Villa.
What did I say?
You said Billerica, not Georgia.
He went around. He went around. And here comes David Ortiz, and listen to the crowd. This is the final season for the iconic designated hitter for the Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz. Swing and a miss.
He will go down as one of the most clutch postseason hitters in history.
No balls and a strike. And he's been overmatched on these 2 pitches. That one at 99 miles an hour. David Ortiz was originally signed by the Mariners when he was known as David Arias. Was traded to Minnesota for Dave Hollins and then was released. The Red Sox signed him as a free agent in 2003, and the rest is history. And he's down on strikes. Wow, Vizcaino carved him up and struck out 2 in the 9th inning. What an impressive inning for Arodys Vizcaino. Last chance for Atlanta. 1 to tie, 2 to win at home. What a ball game versus Boston.
Back here on Fox Sports South as your Braves take on the Red Sox one more time at home before they head to Boston. It's Braves Red Sox tomorrow with coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern on Fox Sports South and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. It's April in the ATL presented by Cook's Pest Control.
And here's a familiar face. It's Craig Kimbrel. What's unfamiliar for Craig is, for him, a gaudy 5-point ERA for Boston.
And a couple of blown saves already. Well, one officially, 5 for 6. And it was last night. In Houston. Double off the glove and off the wall. Colby Rasmus. Long one tied it.
Well, Kimbrel has said that the difference between a perfect season and the numbers he's posting now is 3 pitches. In a game like this, 1 pitch could change things dramatically. He'll face A.J. Pierzynski in the 9th inning. And A.J. covered that. Fouled away, strike 1.
Guys, a couple of closers for their respective teams have come in airing it out. That was 98.
That one at 98. And pop foul 0-2.
And AJ 0-2.
I think every at bat tonight seems like.
Yesterday too.
Kimbrel had 39 saves with San Diego last year. 4 years of 40 or more with the Braves. Now in his first year with Boston, the 0-2 swing and a miss. The hard curveball got Pierzynski to swing and miss. There's out number 1 in the 9th.
Miles an hour on his slider curve, his slurve.
Yeah, if he's hitting with his fastball, that pitch is next to impossible to hit.
How dominant has Kimbrel been? From 2011 to 2015, Kimbrel has the most saves in Major League Baseball. Second on the list is Houston Street, and Kimbrel is 58 saves better.
I was going to say that had to be by a wide margin too.
Francoeur takes a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Another hit for Jeff tonight. He looks for his first against Kimbrel. To short. Bogarts to his right. Loads up. And got his man for the second out. Fans, the Kroger 4-game plan is a great way to see your Braves during this historic final year at Turner Field. Save off the regular game price and custom build your 4-game plan. Or pick a popular plan like the bobblehead, Friday night fireworks, or Sunday Kids Day plans by visiting Braves.com/4game. Freddie Freeman's been on base 3 times. A long one would tie it.
Freddie's saying that hit him in the foot. And it did. Caused it to change directions. Freddie's so confident he's already going to first while the umpires are going to take a look at it.
So we have a ninth inning review with 2 outs, bases empty in a 1-0 Boston game.
Curveballs will change directions when they hit the ground, but not that drastically.
I guess if you're going to get hit by Kimbrel, that's probably the one you want to get hit by.
Yeah.
Will there be enough evidence to change the call? I don't believe the umpire signaled hit by pitch, so will either be ball 1 or Freeman will be at first.
It might have even hit the dirt first and then hit his foot and then changed direction.
That one looked like it does. That's the one that looks like it does. The other two are a little bit harder to tell, even with the change in direction.
Come on, New York.
Really?
Well, as we've learned, it's all about the call on the field.
Yeah, there seems to be a real reluctance to change anything these days. It's almost like, why bother?
So Joe West says the ball did not hit Freddie Freeman. And this is the part that's so tough. The call will stand, and the bailout is not enough evidence to change the call, I would assume. So it's ball 1 to Freddie Freeman, who will dig back in against Kimbrel.
Well, if he hits one out and snaps that Braves homerless streak, they're going to wish it was different.
2 minutes and 19 seconds on the review. Kimbrel trying to put the disappointment of last night behind him in a big way here in the 9th. He is bringing it. Freddie got a piece, but the Braves are down to their last strike. A tick or two past 10 o'clock here in Atlanta.
And Craig can put his fastball in that spot to left-handers hard away. He's almost impossible.
Well, especially that first strike, the called strike. You can stand on the mound and tell them it's coming, and they're not going to do anything with it.
No.
Well, see if that was a setup pitch for the breaking ball or for the fastball down and away.
2-2. Breaking ball got him, and the Red Sox win 1-0 behind Rick Porcello and Jackie Bradley, who hit a solo home run in the 7th inning to spoil a masterful performance from Julio Teheran tonight. The Braves' losing streak reaches 6 games. Boston wins game 1, 1-0.